What's up, YouTube? Dr. Kemp, Hammond Doc here once again. Today I'm going to talk about the cathode resistor in a Leslie amplifier. Now, like the majority of tube amplifiers, some say 99% of tube amplifiers, the Leslie 122s and 147 amplifiers are grounded cathode amplifiers, wherein in the case of the 122s and 147s, the output tubes, the 6550 tubes that are used in the Leslie amplifiers, are themselves amplifiers. Okay? This is 6550. Located deep inside of the 6550 is a nickel-based electrical or polarized electrical conductor known as a cathode. Attached to the cathode is a element in here known as a heater, and when there is power applied to the amplifier coming from the organ, I have a 147 amp here, that I'll use to illustrate. Here, when power is supplied to the amplifier from the organ, then it causes the heater in the tube to heat, and the heater then causes the cathode inside the tube to heat up. And when the cathode heats up, then the cathode emits electrons. Electrons are negatively charged particles that move in the direction, in a straight direction, in the cathode, through the cathode, to an anode. The anode is positively charged, so therefore it attracts the electrons emitted by the cathode. And that's how you have flow of current inside of a tube. Well, in order to get the smooth Hammond-Leslie sound, you actually have to control for the amount of voltage in the tube. And the way we control for the amount of voltage going into this tube is by using a cathode resistor. The purpose of the cathode resistor is to reduce the amount of voltage, to drop the amount of voltage that is in the cathode of the tube. So when your cathode resistor is working properly, then you're going to get a smoother sounding amplifier. This cathode resistor is very, very important. Good working cathode resistor is very important. I'll show you where it's located here on the amp. In fact, when you're doing amp repairs, it is one of the first things that you should check. When I do amp repairs, I check this cathode resistor. This is it here. And it's 100 It's a 150 ohm resistor. Now, it's not very often that I get a cathode resistor that is bad. Come up here. Here it is right there. It's not very often that I have to replace a cathode resistor. But when I do, I'll either have one that is a good one like this. This is the vintage cathode resistor. And here is a new model of the cathode resistor. It's a 10 watt, 150 ohm wire wound resistor. There are the wires there. And if this resistor is outside of the limit, I was looking at something there. If it's outside of the limit, then what you do is you replace it. Some say 10% tolerance, 20%. I'd say if it's worse than 20%, what you get here, or what's on here, then you need to replace your cathode resistor. Now, let me say another thing about this. At the top of the cathode resistor, you can check you can do a voltage check on here. You can check the voltage that is being applied to this resistor. So you can check it here. You check it right here. And you should be getting 25 or about 25 volts. Okay? Check the voltage there. And you should be getting 25 volts. Now, that's during a live checking or a live evaluation of your amplifier. If the voltage is too low at the top of the cathode resistor, then it's indicative of the possibility of one or several things going on in your amp. In other words, it's diagnostic. One thing could be that some of the power supply voltages could be weak in your amplifier. So you want to make sure here you want to check your power supply and make sure your power supply voltages are in accordance with the schematics. Okay, there's your power transformer there. So that's one thing that could be going on. Another thing that could be going on is that either one or both of your output tubes, your 6550 tubes, aren't conducting fully. So you may need to change your tubes. If you're getting low voltage, you may need to change your tubes. 6550, one or more of them, one or two of them, or both of them. Third thing that could be going on is that the bypass capacitor could be shortened. The bypass capacitor is right here. Here's this little can right there. It's the cathode bypass. Sometimes you hear it called, referred to as a cathode bypass, but it's cathode bypass capacitor. So this could be bad or short. Okay. Now, if your voltage checks too high, then the power supply voltages may be high. Your power supply is putting out too much power. That's a problem. One or both of the output tubes are conducting too hard. The tube is dysfunctioning. Or the cathode resistor has begun to open up. So in other words, it's allowing too much voltage to pass and to the cathode of the tubes, and that's not good. So there's too much voltage going through, and so your amp will not sound as smooth as it could or should. It'll be harsher than it needs to be because too much voltage is going through the cathode of the 6550 tubes. So, as I said, it is not very often that I have to change one of these cathode resistors in an amplifier, in a Leslie amp. But when I do need to do it, it is a very important aspect of the amplifier rebuilding process. Okay? I think that's enough for this video. I'll come back and do another video, maybe on dealing with the cathode bypass capacitor. But until that time, this is Hammond Doc saying to you, peace out.